Hello guys and welcome to the Book Bunch. My name is Sam. It's so great to have you guys here for another video. Happy second YouTube birthday to me. I don't actually know the exact date, but I know it's like October something, around now. It's sometime around now. Because I think the first couple of videos I actually uploaded, I have actually taken those down because they were books that I initially recommended thinking that they were clean, and then I read more of the series, for example, and they no longer fit my definition of clean. So I took them down so that people didn't get confused thinking I was recommending this series and then finding out that it was actually bad and all the rest of it. So it's easier just for me to take them down. That was a long bit of chat that you guys didn't need to know about. But anyway, as a result, I don't know the exact date, but it's October something, so we're celebrating it now. We are also going to have the giveaway, what's it called? Giveaway winner announcement sometime during this video. This video is technically going to be a series of videos because I'm probably going to split it into 3 parts in total. So you guys will have some content coming at you guys, because I have so many books that I want to share with you guys that I've read over the past 2 years that are just phenomenal and you guys need to go read. I've pretty much done a review on all of these at some point over the last 2 years. So if they look familiar, that's why I'm just compiling all my favorites for you guys. I'm not going to put them in any order because that is way too hard, but I will reveal to you guys my absolute favorites, like my favorite series basically, maybe even like my favorite couple of series out of this big load, in case you guys have missed it or haven't been informed or are wanting to know what my official verdict is for the last 2 years. So I'm just going to start picking up books randomly and telling you about them. So The Ember Blade, I really loved this book. I do have book 2. It is sitting right here, but I have not read it yet. So I don't know how this series, like what direction this series goes in, if it stays clean or not. But yes, it was so good that I'm popping it on the list. I think it's worth your time because it was just, I don't know, it had that classic fantasy vibe. Especially there's like one section where they go through this weird like castle that's like, I don't know, got all these spirits or something in it, and they have to try to escape, and things go terribly wrong, of course, but it has a very strong good versus evil theme, I feel like, to it. There is spiritual stuff in there. It is not Christian as far as I am aware, but it definitely has that classic Lord of the Rings vibes in like the fact that our main characters are definitely on the side of good. And yeah, but that was a probably terrible explanation. It follows these 2 young boys mostly who start off in a prison due to like an unreasonable imprisonment basically, and they end up escaping, and then like they escape, which takes up quite a bit of the book actually, that process, but that was a lot of fun because I kind of felt like I was part of Prison Break or something. So yeah, they escape this prison and then they kind of meet this band of people who are like these warriors, and they join up with these warriors to go on this quest for the Ember Blade, and it's very cool, very awesome. Anyway, that's probably too long talking about one book when we have a billion more to get to. Then there is Mortal Engines. I loved this book. I have not read the rest of the quartet, but I really want to, because this one just resonated with me on such a good level, especially for a middle grade. At least I think it's a middle grade. Maybe it's a like younger young adult, but it was super good. I also love this cover that I have of this one. I think it's way nicer than all the other covers I've seen, and I'm hoping I can get the same editions in the other books of the series. But you can kind of read this standalone for sure. If you don't want to continue the series, or if I let you know that the rest of the series is not clean, you could just read this one. It is very steampunky. It's about this guy and girl who live in this city. They live in the city of London, and the city of London is on wheels, as is all the cities in the world, because it's set like years in the future. The only thing I will say is, like, I feel like it had somewhat of a strong political statement, I guess, about like climate change. Essentially, I think that's what this was kind of pointing towards, is like, if we don't look after the world and whatever and stop our wasteful ways, we'll end up like this, because essentially the whole ocean is dried up. And so everyone lives in these movable cities, and these movable cities walk around devouring each other to keep alive, basically. It's really messed up. But yeah, we follow this one boy who is like enamored by this whole thing, and he wants to be like a great, I think it's an archaeologist one day or something. But things go wrong, and he finds himself discarded out the back of London and on the run with this crazy girl that he can't decide if he likes or wants to turn her in, essentially. He can't decide if she is on the side of good or the side of evil. And his whole world gets kind of turned upside down by meeting her. And then there is another girl who's in the city, and she is the daughter of someone very, very prominent. And again, her ideals throughout the book get turned on their head, and what she knows to be true about this world gets turned on its head. And so she makes some very difficult choices. And it was just very interesting. I've got some non-fiction to throw in here as well that I will scatter throughout. But I've got Waymaker, which, I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, I feel like you'd know what this non-fiction book is about. But basically, this is a Christian non-fiction book about how God makes the way even through our brokenness, and that we can kind of cling to him in the storms and that kind of thing. I really enjoyed it. Her writing can be a bit difficult to read, because she writes in this specific style of poetry, but it means that, like, some of her sentences are missing words, and so it can be a bit confusing, and you kind of have to double take and read the sentence a few times before you actually understand what she's trying to say in various places. Or yeah, her sentences might end very abruptly, but for the most part it was really good. That's literally my only criticism, is I wish it was edited slightly differently, but the actual message was really impactful and powerful, and I loved it. And I actually highlighted throughout this one, which I don't often do, but occasionally I will just have to, because yeah, I'm not a huge annotator, but it does happen on occasion. And then there is Resistance, which is Celestia's favorite book, basically her favorite series, as far as I know. It's from the Ilion Chronicles. I have only read book 1 so far. I do intend to get the rest of the series, but just based on the price, I'm probably going to have to get them as ebooks and then eventually flesh out the rest of my physical copies. But this book was about, it's a Christian book, it's a Christian series, and it's about this, how do I explain this? This girl who's in like the army. I'm trying to explain this well, but it's also hard. So she lives in the army, and she's like been raised a very certain way. And in this world, like in this kingdom she's a part of, they are very anti-religion, I guess, or, well, not even anti-religion, just like they have one certain religion, and if like anything else is unacceptable essentially and can lead to your death. So I guess it's more they're not inclusive of other religions. And so she's grown up and joined this like army, and this, I think it's like has a priesthood as part of it. I don't know. It's been a while. But she she's going to be given this prominent position. But things kind of go down, and she doesn't know if she can continue on the way that she's continuing on, because she is a Christian, or what is the equivalent of being a Christian in this book, because it's the God's name, the one true God's name is Elome. I think that's how you say it. And yeah, she believes in him, and things kind of come to a head. And ultimately, I think she gets in trouble and ends up in jail, and then there's like a jailbreak. And she goes on the run. And yeah, it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I've done a terrible job at explaining it. Sorry. Okay, then we've got some Brandon Sanderson, of course. I've got all of Skyward. Here we go, all of Skyward that has released so far. We will be getting the last book, I want to say next year, but maybe that's actually this year. Oh my goodness, I'm losing track of my dates. Love this series. As you guys know, this is definitely like in my top 10, if not my top 5. I just love it. It's like a sci-fi lover's dream, essentially. And it's Brandon Sanderson, so you know it's phenomenal. I love all the covers. I love the black and gold. They just look amazing. Super sad that like my book 1 is a different size to all the others, but it is what it is. So yes, the Skyward series is about our main girl. Wow, it's been so long that I can't even remember her name. Spencer. But she is part of this world. Well, it's set many years in the future, and Earth became spacefaring. But then there was like this big intergalactic war. Humanity was pretty much mostly wiped out, except for this one shipload of people who crash landed on this planet. I cannot remember what the planet is called. So they have this like base on this one planet, but they haven't been able to leave the planet again, because there is these aliens called the Krell, who have basically targeted these guys, and has for the last like 80 years or something kept them on this planet by waging war every time they try to leave. So they've been trying to build their like space air force, whatever that's called, to win the war so that they can get back to their roots and spacefaring and hopefully just avoiding war. And yes, our main chick Spencer, she comes from a family who is shamed because of an incident with her father. And as a result, they don't want her to become a pilot. But somehow or other, she gets into the program anyway, is treated pretty badly, and she ends up finding this ship that is like buried, and this ship can talk, and his name is Mbot, and he is amazing. And yes, they become fast friends. And they also find this slug called Doom Slug, who's just this cute little slug that is very important to the story. And yes, basically, there's a really bad battle that occurs, and she fights in that, even though I don't think she was actually allowed to. I can't quite remember. But yeah, things go down. That's where I will leave it. Again, there's a whole series, so get into it and enjoy it if you like sci-fi, especially space sci-fi, because it's good. There's also going to be a lot of Brandon Sanderson in this, by the way. So then there's The Rhythmatist. This one was cool. This is a style of magic, which I just realized I didn't put in my magic video. My goodness, what am I doing with myself? So this one, he has promised he will continue this and make it into a proper series. But that was like 10 years ago that he made that promise. So I don't know if it's going to happen or if it's just going to remain a standalone. But it does imply that there will be other books after this based on how this one ends. But it's not like a super big cliffhanger, but like it leaves the story open enough that there's places for it to go, sure. So this is about this school of magic people, and there's essentially people who can use magic, and they have this gift to use magic, and then there's these people who cannot use magic. And the main guy, is one of the people that cannot use the magic. He just doesn't have the power or whatever. But he is so fascinated by it that he wants to learn the magic theory anyway. And basically persuades this professor to teach him, and he becomes really good at like the theory side of it. So you have to draw these certain patterns and stuff to get these little chalk figures to do what you need them to do in these like combat fights. And he ends up getting paired with this girl who has the gift of the magic, but she is so crap at the theory that she can't make it work properly. And so they have to team up because there's like a serial killer or something on the loose. Well, I don't know if they're actually a killer. I can't remember. But people are definitely being kidnapped. And so they like team up to find this person that is doing all this bad stuff. And it was really good. I really loved it. It was a really interesting take on a magic school. And it was really cool to see a book where the main character didn't have the powers. They were lacking in that, but they were still involved. Then there is, I'll save some Brandon Sanderson for the next video. That's one box down. We've got The Sinking City, which I absolutely loved, by Christine Cohen. This is a book about Venice, which on its own, lots more books should be set in Venice. I'm just going to say that. But she is 16, and she was, unbeknownst to her and the rest of her family, bargained off to this sea monster man by her father in exchange for one of her siblings' lives. But the father didn't think he would actually come to that. And she fakes her death and to avoid having to go marry this sea monster prince guy, who's evil, or that's at least the implication. And as a result, she pretends to be a boy and joins becomes a magician's apprentice, because magicians in this world are like good and they have real powers, and they are basically the force that is keeping Venice afloat. But only boys are allowed to be magicians, and so yeah, hence the pretending to be a boy thing. And yes, she pretends to be a boy and joins this master apprenticeship because she's got a spell on her, which is basically a tracking device, so she can't leave Venice without this monster man knowing, and then he'll be able to track her down. So she wants to remove this spell so then she can leave Venice and go live a good life. It was super interesting. I really liked it. Yes. I hope she writes a book too, because it was really good. Then there is The Night Circus, which is about these two magicians, and they have apprentices. And they have created this competition to pit their apprentices against each other to the death. And the competition is set at this circus. But the catch is that neither apprentice knows who the other one is. So it's all like anonymous. And so they have basically been honing their skills of magic. And to win the competition, they have to outdo each other at this circus. So each night they create these new spectacles and new tents that do different things with their magic, to prove that they're the better magician, basically. And they will keep doing this until it's decided who is the winner and who is the loser, and the loser will be killed. But it becomes a love story. And I'm just going to leave it there because it's perfect and it gives you major Tim Burton vibes, and I really liked it. It is clean, however, the author's other books are not. Night Circus is a standalone, so like you don't need to worry about a series or anything, but I'm just letting you know that I've read some of the author's other books and they were not clean. So, yes. That is for you to do with what you want. Then Good Boundaries and Goodbyes. Really loved this book. It is all about, it takes a very biblical approach on boundaries and essentially who you allow access to in your life and how much access are you allowing them. And at what point it might be beneficial for you guys to part ways, and how filled with grief that can be, and how God works in that. And I don't know, it was just really helpful to me, so I really, really enjoyed it, and I recommend that to you guys. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more, and then we will end the video, and we'll save the rest for the next video. And then the third video is going to be my Kindle, like the ones that are on my Kindle, that I recommend as well. But I'm going to pause here for a second and announce the giveaway winner. So I hope you guys are paying attention. So the winner is going to win a $25 Australian Amazon gift card. So the winner will need to send me a message on Instagram giving me their details so that I can send them the Amazon gift card. I have already done the random number generator because I had to check like who had commented on my last video and my last Instagram post, because that was the requirement. And it came up with number 6. And so the 6th comment on my Instagram was Tay from, I think her YouTube handle is Treats with Tay or something like that. I'll put it up here so that you can double check that it is you. And I'll tag you below as well. But yes, that is the giveaway winner for the 500 subscribers. So thank you so much to everyone that participated. It really means a lot that I got so much response on that, so thank you. There will be more giveaways in future, especially when we get to 1,000, all of that kind of stuff. So make sure you are subscribed if you're interested, because that's how you will find out about them. But yes, let's finish these last few recommendations, and then we will cut to part 2 basically next week. So we've got The Hiding Place, which this book changed my life, I think, on a faith level. It's the story of Corrie ten Boom while the war was actively happening. So she's got a couple of other books. She's got one from when she was younger up until the point of the war, called In My Father's House, which I have bought. I haven't got to read yet, but I have bought that one. And then there is one that's set after this one takes place. I can't remember what that one is called though. It's something about a tramp, I think. Yeah, but I was crazy moved by Bessie and how she talks about her sister Bessie, and the type of woman that Bessie was, and how Bessie changed Corrie through this process, because I don't think Corrie would have handled the concentration camp and kept her faith if it wasn't for Bessie. And yeah, just their dynamic and that struggle with your faith in that time. Yeah, it was just so moving, and I think everyone needs a Bessie, and everyone should be a Bessie. And I think that is kind of how Corrie saw it as well, is she made it her mission to continue on Bessie's legacy, and I think that's beautiful. So yes, there's that. Then there is, oops, hang on. This is book 2, so I have to grab book 1. Here we go. This series, which is forgotten what it's actually called. I think it's just called the 6 Crimson Cranes duology. But this duology is awesome. There is also a prequel that she has brought out. I have that on my Kindle. I have not read it yet. And its focus is around the stepmother that is in this, and just the stepmother's backstory, so it is a bit separate to this duology. But man, I love these covers so much. They are so beautiful. And I'm not even a pink person, so there you go. But this series, this duology is about this princess, emperor's daughter, princess. I don't know what she actually is. She has 6 brothers, and a stepmother. And she's meant to be married off to this other kingdom's prince or whatever. But she is rebellious and does not want to do so. She wants to live her own life. And so instead of proceeding with a certain ceremony, I think it's part of the engagement, I don't know if it's actually part of the wedding, she runs off and jumps into this lake where she meets a dragon. And her and this dragon form this friendship. But yeah, some things happen, and for whatever reason, her stepmother ends up cursing her and her brothers. And her brothers get turned into these cranes, and she gets turned into Well, she ends up getting this bowl on her head so they can't see her identity. Because she can't remove this bowl. It's like spirit, it's like magically stuck to her. And she can speak, but she cannot say her name. And she cannot say, like, explain what happened to anyone. And if she does, one of her brothers will die. Or however many brothers will die if she keeps trying to talk about it. And so she goes on this mission to try and break this curse. And to go deal with her stepmother, essentially. But you kind of find out that things aren't as they seem. There is a romance involved. There's also beautiful friendship. I wouldn't call it a love triangle, because, like, it's very clearly not reciprocated, if that makes sense. But yes, it's beautiful. And then the second book is about she has to journey into the dragon realm, and is seeking a pearl, or maybe she's keeping a pearl from the dragons. I can't remember, but she's trying to, like, restore something so that the world doesn't get destroyed, essentially, from what I can remember. But yes, it was a great duology, and I loved every minute of it. And then finally, for today's video, we'll talk about Black Leviathan, which, as you guys know, I'm obsessed with this book. This is definitely in my top 5. And I say that. When I say, like, it's in my top 5, if it's a series, it's counted as one, just so you know. But this is a standalone, and I love this book. I'm obsessed with this book. I need to read this book again. This is dragons and pirates together in the most perfect harmony I've ever seen. It's actually written by a German guy and then translated. So I don't really know if I will ever get access to his other books, or what, because a lot of them are just in German. They haven't been translated. And I think he did say in the end of this, like in the acknowledgements or something, that there is going to be more in this series, but that will be in German. So I don't know if, again, they'll be translated, or if he's moved on from it, or what. I don't know, because I don't read German, so I can't keep up with it as much as I would like. But this story is set in a world where the actual Earth, like the continents, are dangerous. Like, they're filled with all these creatures that basically just mean certain death. Sorry. But there is this material that floats, essentially. It's some kind of metal that floats. And it's naturally found in some of the Earth. And so there's these floating islands that are kept afloat by these material, like this metal. And so all the people actually live on these floating islands, and they use these boats that have this metal attached to them to sail from island to island. And because they're up high, they are also where all the dragons are, because the dragons live in the air. And there are these pirates that go around and kill the dragons, partly because the dragons are dangerous, but also because they, like, harvest them for various things. But the dragons are considered evil in this world. And so they, like, the pirates are kind of seen as good. Anyway, there's this one guy that we follow, and he somehow ends up on this dragon hunting pirate ship, and gets pulled along on this dragon hunting journey to hunt the, like, biggest, baddest dragon of them all. and it's just thrilling. Like, the whole book is just amazing, and it is done so well, and I just loved it. So yes, that is all of my well, that's part one of all of my favorite books from the last 2 years. Stay tuned next week for part two, where I will go through the other half of physical books that I've got here, and then part three will be me telling you about all the Kindle ones as well that I think you guys should grab. So hopefully there will be something for everyone. But that is everything for today. Again, giveaway winner Tay, please connect with me so I can send you your prize. And everybody have a great week. Bye!